going everyone, Sanjae here, and welcome back to the channel. And of course, it's that time of the month again where we talk about the upcoming chapter of the Boruto manga, chapter 58 to be exact. And the chapter is beyond that because we're getting nearer and nearer to the Boruto time skip, so I think it's only right. And especially given that we didn't see Boruto or Kawaki in the last chapter, I think it's about time to talk about these two debatably are arguably the most important new generation characters. Of course, Boruto because his name is in the title, and Kawaki since he's been like the clickbait of the Boruto franchise, but at least in recent years, the audience have been getting payoff with him. So yeah, why not talk about the boys? And yeah, but before we get into it, public service announcement. If you go to the community tab of my channel, you'll see a poll. No kinky stuff, it's just a voting poll. Don't get crazy now. But yeah, voting poll for a new live stream segment that I'll be having on my channel. Essentially, I want to talk about specific arcs within Naruto or specific topics within Naruto or just other anime in general, and I want to dedicate specific live streams to those topics or other anime. So the topics I wanted to talk about from the first show that I'll be doing on Friday night, hopefully by 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Granted, you'll see the time once I start creating the stream or once I decide like, okay, I'm gonna work with these results from the voting poll. You'll see it, but yeah, Friday night definitely. But essentially the topics I wanted to talk about are in that poll on the community tab for my channel. It should be my latest post. Definitely leave a vote, leave a like, and let me know what you think. I would appreciate you guys tuning in for the show on Friday night. Right now I believe Naruto vs Naruto Shippuden is leading the poll right now, so yeah. But anyway, let's get back into it. So Boruto and Kawaki and the importance of their training going into chapter 58 and beyond. Yes, so this video more or less I wouldn't want to say is a follow-up, but previous videos that I've done, specifically the video where I talked about the artificial karma seal for Boruto and Kawaki, as well as talking about the fact that Boruto Uzumaki is stronger than you think part 2. Those videos will definitely be factors going into this video. Now, the thing I'll take from those videos is the fact that since chapter 54, it's been confirmed that even though Kawaki lost his karma seal, his body has become 80% Otsutsuki, his DNA has been altered, and it's been the same for Boruto, except that Boruto continues to climb towards 100% since he still has a karma seal. Now, going into chapter 58, or at least using the events of chapter 56, where we had Boruto and Kawaki essentially deciding that, yo, it's time to actually train. But taking that piece of information and going into chapter 58 and beyond, more than likely whatever training they're going to do now is going to try to take advantage of their new Otsutsuki physiology, because that's the only thing that would make sense and would actually put them on a path to become much more relevant in terms of power going into the next chapter, or just as we near the Boruto time skip, because I mean that's the only thing that makes sense going into it. But the thing is, what's importance of it? What can we say is the relevance of it besides just the typical shonen, typical thing as the story goes along and the characters need to get stronger? What importance can we kind of derive from it? No, that's why we're here to actually dissect. So here we go. Of course, Boruto and Kawaki, as I said, coming out of are using those previous videos as factors for this discussion. Boruto and Kawaki getting new karma seals, or artificial karma. That was my whole theory for one of my previous videos that I did like a few months back, right? And the whole idea was that even though they were 80% Otsutsuki, there wasn't any indication that they could make use of their new physiology, or there wasn't any evident power boost. So more than likely, I was theorizing that they actually need something to actually make use of that new physiology until further notice, was what I was saying in a nutshell. And what better way, or who would be the best person to actually construct something for characters like Kawaki, who no longer have a karma and probably could use something to bring out that or make use of that new physiology, or Boruto, who at the time I was saying that he probably needs something to make use of Momoshiki's power but without increasing the Otsutsufication too fast. Granted, we did recently get introduced to the Byakugan pills, but that was my train of thinking along like back then after chapter 54. But it is what it is. the whole point is Amado more than likely is going to become a relevant factor in whatever training Boruto and Kawaki are going to do going forward. And the thing that makes that relevant in the grand scheme of the training, or at least a byproduct of the training, is that we get more opportunities to dive into Amado's character, what's his grandmaster plan, what's the mystery behind his character. We get a more in-depth look at that in the grand scheme of things, because even though this is more like an indirect positive, I feel like fans, like with every chapter, we just want to find out more about Amado. Is he really good? Is he really bad? Is he just morally gray? Where does he stand in the grand scheme of things, and where does his story lead? So any additional thing and additional interaction is just a positive or just a plus for that investment that the audience is making in Amado's character more than likely. So yeah, I would say that's definitely an indirect benefit of the whole train between Boruto and Kawaki. No, aside from that, a more direct positive is, of course, getting stronger. But why is that important? Right now, I will say that even though generally across the board when it comes on to the Boruto manga, the Boruto story, that persons are interested in Kawaki, persons are interested in Boruto, but it would be a lie to say that a lot of persons aren't still watching. It would be a lie to say that persons aren't watching because of Naruto and Sasuke still. I don't think it's reached a point where the interest in Boruto and Kawaki has surpassed just watching for Naruto and Sasuke and see what's going to happen to them. I don't think it's surpassed that point just yet. But the thing is about this training and the potential of exploring the Otsutsuki physiology that I'll say is that it at least allows, or it will put Boruto and Kawaki in that position to be more proactive in how they drive, or how they as characters can direct the plot, essentially. Because outside of waiting for Naruto and Sasuke to say, X, Y, or Z, with the one and two exceptions where Kawaki or Boruto might or may do their own thing, it still feels heavily dependent on Naruto and Sasuke, the Ninja Alliance, the higher ups for the most part. And right now, Boruto and Kawaki don't command enough power to actually be that proactive force to drive the plot. But as we've seen from my last discussion on how I broke it down with Ida and Team Kara are essentially positioning themselves to force Boruto and Kawaki to be the only persons that can be that proactive approach right now. So along that train of thought, Boruto and Kawaki need to get stronger to complete the puzzle piece of actually being that proactive force and driving the story along. And the good thing about it, apart from just getting stronger for the plot's sake, at least with that and being in a position to direct the plot, it puts them in more positions of, how should I say, it puts them in more positions for them to actually develop and push their characters to new levels. Because of course, just like a side note, we do subscribe to the idea that Boruto is going to leave the village, right? But at least if he has power along with it, he can decide like, okay, I'm going to do this and this. I don't need to depend on necessarily Sasuke to drag me to this point. I can make decisions which can put me in either a good or bad position for my character, but at least it gives the audience more opportunities to see how my character bounces off X aspect in the narrative, or Y aspect in the narrative, or Y character or Z character. So essentially, it kind of ties back to the whole idea that I feel that even though Boruto isn't necessarily a bad character, but I think in terms of the investment and how interested persons are, generally speaking, in him as the main character, I think there's untapped potential there. And the best thing you can do is get the power as a character so he can put himself in more situations to actually, let the audience become more interested in you. Because the thing is, now we just need to see Boruto in some, apart from his life going to shit, but we just need to see him in much more situations where his character can bounce off X, Y, and Z aspects. And this is definitely like a indirect slash direct result of becoming more powerful. So there's that. So that's one way to look at it. Right now, Kawaki, that aspect of, you know, putting themselves in more situations for development, that more so applies to Boruto than Kawaki, because Kawaki, it has been getting, you know, decent development over the, you know, the vessel, the Kawaki arc essentially up to this point. So Kawaki isn't in as bad of a situation. So there's that. Now, the thing is, this training also needs to establish a bit more, like, apart from, no, there is the risk of Boruto fully becoming Momoshiki. That's cemented in the story, but probably like some sub risk under that for the training, which they kind of already are setting up with the whole Byakugan pills from chapter 57. But essentially, this training needs to set the foundation for some additional risk as well, which they, as I said, they've already kind of are setting up, but also some byproduct of those risks, which I think is going to lead to the Jougan making an appearance again within the Boruto manga. Now, I haven't talked about the Jougan in forever because I was honestly just getting tired of the whole when I do like my expectation videos before, like 3 days before the chapter, I'm like, okay, this will be the perfect time for the Jougan to actually appear. Chapter drops, no Jougan. Next month, perfect time for the Jougan to appear, no Jougans. I was just getting tired of it. But as we kind of get nearer and nearer to the time skip, I kind of need to bring it up again, because I think the foundation, or at least one appearance of it, needs to happen before the time skip, so we can actually lay the foundation or get some more incentive, more things for Boruto to actually master over the time skip. Now, as I said, this will be more so like a byproduct of the risk of the training, in terms of whatever Amado would introduce, which so far is the Byakugan pills, and the whole aim of, you know, utilizing or making the best use of the Otsutsuki physiology. I think it would be the perfect time to actually reintroduce Toneri as well as the Jougan as a byproduct of this whole training. If I do say so myself. Probably it's some wild experiment. Amado introduces something, the training is going smoothly, something goes wrong, Byakugan pills, and eventually the Jougan becomes active. They can definitely use it as a plot point to say we're using this to slow down the Otsutsukification or something, or I don't know, artificial karma, as I keep saying. But the Jougan definitely needs to be something that they introduce, because I can acknowledge the fact that when Boruto started, manga and anime wise, there wasn't the greatest level of planning in terms of how a lot of things would go. But with, what was it, Ikimoto? It was Ikimoto, right? When he said early on this year or late last year that we're getting closer to that flash forward that we saw, we need to get some build up for the eventual payoff of the Jougan. Because honestly, being this late in the game and not having the Jougan is one thing, but there needs to be some build up at some point. We don't want a situation where Sarada just, like, for example, Sarada just does the Shidori and there's no build up for it. Hence why they're actually doing the whole setup and build up for the Shidori in the anime. No, we actually need to build up for the Jougan right now. And what better way than be a byproduct of training that's going to capitalize on the new Otsutsuki physiology that's introduced since chapter 54, but at the same time involving factors such as Amado, who's a scientist, who's going to probably be introducing factors or concepts to the training that aren't 100% tested, and the results of it he can't fully confirm or, you know, promise on. So I think with all those things mixed in the pot, the Jougan is definitely something that can be looked forward to, and something that could make the training all that more important between Boruto and Kawaki, if I do say so myself. But lastly, what I'll say to end out this video, naturally this training, of course, as you know, brothers, Boruto and Kawaki, this training is to really set the foundation for, I would say, how they're going to eventually split you know, depending on how the full context of that flash forward pans out, yeah, I think this training needs to kind of set the foundation for what's gonna happen in terms of Boruto and Kawaki being on opposing sides, even if it's only going to be a temporary thing for that flash forward. So yeah, that's something I think we can look out for from this training. But I think I've blabbered on enough, like 15 minutes. So yeah, Sanjae, Uchiha, thanks for tuning in to today's discussion, guys. Let me know if I made any semblance of sense, and if there is anything that I missed or something that you'd look out for from this training as well, apart from some cool action as well. So there's that. But anyway, Sanjae, Uchiha, guys, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to rate, comment, subscribe, leave a like, comment, all those things, and I'll see you in the next Boruto discussion.